Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're going to talk about a judge recently ordered Trump all that black history he took down and removed, not only here in the US, even in other countries. It all must go back. The judge said Donald Trump just can't erase the parts of history that he does not like. See, first of all, I think it's weird that a president is so caught up in what's in a museum or what's on display. That is not his job, y'all. That is not his job as the president. And you can clearly tell this is something he discussed with his rich friends on what he's going to do, because why should our white kids do that? Well, that's your history. You sure weren't ashamed of it when your forefathers were doing it. Y'all were not ashamed of all the things you were doing. And quite frankly, y'all got a terrible history everywhere. When you really think, even before you came over here from Europe, your history in Europe was awful. And now, what did you think? Because you crossed an ocean, a good history was going to hit you upside the head? No, you came over here and extended on your already bad history. So I just don't know what you think you're covering up. Removing history, it's still there. That history is still there. So, what Donald Trump wants to do, he wants to remove all traces of slavery, because slavery is the one thing they can't escape from. And there's no good in it, although they try to say, the new thing they're saying, y'all, is they brought black people over here from Africa to give us better opportunities. I said, that's the biggest lie ever. Y'all don't even care about whether we got good opportunities now. So you know damn well y'all didn't care about no opportunities the slaves would have. That's a straight up lie. That's a straight up lie. And number two, when have these people ever saw to it that we had good opportunities in America? When did they go above and beyond to do this? Oh boy. But this is the BS they're trying to say now. Y'all were never ashamed of your history. You were never ashamed. Now, all of a sudden, you feel shame. Well, that's very biblical. But that history happened. Slavery happened in America, whether you want to hear it or not. Racism still goes on in America, whether you want to hear it or not. And removing stuff from a museum, there's still a lot of people that lived through Jim Crow that are still alive. Okay, a lot of them are still here, white and black. They're still here. So, I know how y'all think. You think if you don't talk about something, then people won't really think about it. That's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. And plus, I think what they want to prevent is their children from having sympathy for us. That's what they're really, and to me, that's what the real fear is, that they will hear about what happened and they would actually feel something for us. And they absolutely don't want that. That would really be the normal reaction. And they know it. So I'm glad this judge told Donald Trump to put it back. You can't avoid the history that you don't like. You know, that's all you want is to escape your history. Wow. That says a lot. That says a lot. So, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, y'all. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. No, and Donald Trump and the rest of MAGA, y'all full of shit anyway. Talking about what are your white kids gonna think? They gonna think the adults are stupid. That's what they gonna think, because this ain't about no kids. This is all about the adults that have decided they don't like the history. It has nothing to do with no damn kids. Kids do not know enough about history to know whether it's good or bad. They're still in the learning stages of their life. So no, this ain't about no kids. These are adults that hate the history and want the history to go away. Well, as long as many of us are breathing above earth, that history is here to stay. Period. Thank you for the ones.
You know those exhibits that he took out of the natural parks? Well, a federal judge is ordering that he put them back. Just in case you don't remember, they're climate change, indigenous history, civil rights, LGBTQ, and slavery. It's almost like they're trying to rewrite history to make it seem like America was great at one point, as if America doesn't have a history of being racist. Do you know that they're teaching the kids in school that the slaves were brought over here to have a better life? That's what they're teaching our children. He really is trying to rewrite history. Like he's taking away all the monuments, all the documentation to show what actually happened here. What I'm so confused about is how is he even able to do this for a federal judge to come back and say, sir, you can't do that. That's illegal for you to do that. And I'm glad they filed this lawsuit. Now the case is still ongoing, but the federal judge just said, okay, look, you can't keep removing stuff, going in and making all these changes, and I haven't even ruled on it yet. It's literally part of American history, and you can't just erase it because it makes some people feel uncomfortable. And for those of you that say it's not such a big deal, if it's not such a big deal, then why fight so hard to remove it? But right now, at this point, all we can do is just see how this plays out.
What did Black people do to this administration that has allowed it to really stigmatize folks of color? And you know how hard it is. You have folks of color in your family.
Sure.
So when you see, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information of Black heroes, how does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just I know Emmett Till was because I want to know what she's. I want to respond to your actual point.
So in a lot of the museums that there's so many, where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country.
The Trump administration just announced it's taking aim at the Smithsonian Institute for what it calls improper ideology and has promised to ban, quote, exhibits or programs that degrade shared American values, divide Americans based on race, or promote programs or ideologies inconsistent with federal law and policy. And of course, Trump is putting his favorite white Christian nationalist in charge of the effort, J.D. Vance. Hey, everybody, my name's Will. This is the Back 40, and let's talk about it. It appears that the Smithsonian's exhibits regarding slavery, the treatment of indigenous peoples, and racism in general are causing the Trump administration the most heartburn. This is a continuation of their attacks earlier this month on the Institution of Museum and Library Services, as well as the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Interestingly, most white supremacist groups in our country list the same goals as part of their group missions. So this is where we've arrived. The policy of our nation regarding educating our country as to the more nefarious parts of our national history more resemble the crumpled pamphlets of the far-right white Christian nationalists than it does the true history of our nation as defined by lived experiences in academia. I'm reminded of a quote by Winston Churchill: "The further back you can look, the further forward you're likely to see." If this administration has its way, we won't be able to see our metaphorical hand in front of our face soon.
The Trump administration recently decided the problem with World War II wasn't Nazis, it was Black people being remembered for their service. At a U.S. military cemetery in Margraten, Netherlands, where more than 8,300 American soldiers are buried after liberating Europe, the U.S. government quietly removed 2 displays honoring Black World War II troops. No announcement, no explanation, just gone. Thanks to the AP for being pretty much the only outlet to report about this. One panel told the story of George 8 Pruitt, a 23-year-old Black soldier who died in 1945 trying to rescue another American from drowning. The other explained a basic historical fact. The U.S. military was segregated during World War II, and apparently that was the problem. The removals were triggered by Trump's executive orders ending DEI programs. Emails obtained through a FOIA request confirmed the decision was political, not accidental, not procedural, not routine rotation. This was about making Black history disappear quietly enough that no one would notice. Except the locals noticed that this hallowed space had been defiled. The Dutch residents who care for these graves, many of whom adopt fallen American soldiers and tend them for generations, were furious. Dutch officials demanded the panels be restored. Families of the soldiers objected. Even a Dutch TV station recreated the panels in protest. Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador defended the removal, saying the displays shouldn't, quote, criticize America. My dude, acknowledging segregation is not criticizing America. Erasing it absolutely is. About 1 million Black Americans served in World War II. They fought in segregated units. They did dangerous work. An all-Black unit dug the graves of Margraten during the brutal winter of 1944 to 1945, burying white soldiers they weren't allowed to socialize with while alive. Europe remembers them as liberators. The Trump administration treats them like a DEI inconvenience. The American Battle Monuments Commission now claims the segregation panel didn't fit its, quote, commemorative mission, which raises the obvious.
Welcome to the Daily Download. Since Donald Trump took over in office, he has been trying to erase Black history from the walls of museums, and a federal judge just told his racist self to put it back up. Donald Trump signed an executive order called Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. And really, that's just fancy for whitewashing history. He wanted to take down anything that disparaged American history. They took down pictures, videos, multimedia displays. They took down real live accounts of slaves talking about their experience during slavery. They also took down panels like The Dirty Business of Slavery, which explained the economic benefits that America had because of slavery. It also included the human cost of bondage, and it was all ordered to be taken down. This man literally tried to pull the truth off the walls. National Parks and Service members were seen at the Philadelphia President's house on January 22nd, removing exhibits that included the history of George Washington's 9 slaves that he owned while he was in Philadelphia. Oh, you didn't know our founding father, George Washington, owned slaves? You must have been taught in the American education system. But yesterday, a U.S. district judge named Angel Kelley came out and said that this was not okay and told Donald Trump to put all the exhibits back that he took down since he took over presidency. And the judge did not mince words. The ruling stated, and I quote, "Under the guise of promoting American dignity, this administration seeks to share a limited history by ordering the removal of all signs, displays, and interpretive exhibits at national parks that do not align with its preferred narrative, thereby telling half-truths." Can't lie, Judge Kelley ate with that one. Now, let me be clear. This is not just about plaques and museums. This is a pattern that has been happening historically when people who are taking over other people's lands, they come in, they erase all the history so that people forget where they came from. They forget their roots and lose themselves, and it makes them easier to colonize mentally and physically. In the words of Black activist Joe Banner, the first time enslaved Africans were brought here, it was ripping away their history, a taking away of their names and their culture. If we want our own liberation, we have to own telling our true story. The court blocked it for now, but the administration said that they are going to appeal the decision. If you'd like to help fight for the preservation of our history, then please donate to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Please continue to like, comment, share, and follow. I will keep you posted as more things come out.
All right, being reported by Newsweek, Trump ordered to restore slavery signs at national parks. President Donald Trump's administration has been ordered to restore signs and exhibits at national parks covering topics such as slavery, climate change, and indigenous history. A federal judge ruling that their removal set a dangerous precedent of censorship and sanitation. Wonder where we've seen that before. Oh, Germany. Here we go. In a preliminary injunction issued on Friday, U.S. District Judge Angel Kelley directed the Interior Department and National Park Service to reinstate historical and scientific materials removed under the executive order titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History that Trump signed in March 2025. The order led to multiple plaques, signs, and interpretive panels at national parks to be removed. The president said the materials were part of a revisionist movement that portrayed the United States as an inherently racist, sexist, oppressive, or otherwise irredeemably flawed nation. I'm just going to stop right here and say, guess what? Whatever falsehood, a reputation that they're trying to build about the United States, the cat is out the bag. People know that the United States is racist. People know the United States is sexist. People know the United States is oppressive, and it is irredeemably flawed until it decides to stop and acknowledge all of the atrocities, not just some, not just the ones that sound good, not just those that are linked back to a lineage in Germany. Until they decide to acknowledge all atrocities, this type of nasty racist censorship and sanitation will continue, or at least try to. Here we go. So judge says that Trump is trying to rewrite history. Wow. In her decision, Kelley wrote the administration's efforts taken in the name of restoring dignity instead seek to rewrite the nation's history with a white out pen. Her words, not mine. Good categorization, though. History cannot be faithfully told while excluding the experience of communities whose contributions, struggles, and achievements form an important part of our nation's story, she continued. Kelley, who was an appointed judge during the Biden administration, ordered the government to restore the material by July 4th in time for the country's 250th anniversary. And this is why she did this. She says, because defendants deemed it important to strip the parks of these undeniable truths in anticipation of the 250th anniversary of our great nation, she wrote. It is equally important that our shared history be honestly told and fully restored by the 250th anniversary to properly honor the remarkable achievements of the United States as a whole. The U.S. Department of Interior criticized the ruling as it coming from a liberal activist judge. See, this is why I keep saying the United States we're in a state of arrested development. Like, we stopped learning and critically thinking and having forethought and having empathy and being compassionate. Like, we just froze probably 15 years ago at this point, if not a little longer. And it's sad because here we go. Who cares if this woman was appointed during the Biden administration? Right is right and wrong is wrong. Because guess what? As long as people are talking about, oh, don't forget the Holocaust, nobody has a problem talking about that. But when it's time to talk about the atrocity of slavery, then all of a sudden it's strip all of this history out. We don't want to talk about it, etc. History of slavery and the indigenous people. And we know what you did to the indigenous people, just like people know what you did to our ancestors, Black people's ancestors. So I'm to a point where, you know what? Fuck it. We'll all be stupid in the United States. If you want to take down indigenous people's history and slavery or any other history related to Black people, fuck it. Take it all down. Take it all down. Let's not show any history. Strip all of this bullshit with these Robert E. Lees and all of these other racist fucktards. Get rid of all of it. Let's just do it like that. See, then we'll have an even playing field. We either keep it all up to share everybody's story and everybody's history, or we take it all the fuck down. That's where I'm at with it. But then again, that's just my personal sentiments. Anywho, wrapping this up, the department will look at our appeal options while we celebrate the UFC Freedom 250 on the South Lawn that we as Americans are paying for, of the White House that weekend and to honor the nation's 250th greatest and with the greatest president in history, the greatest president that seems to be increasing his net worth at a cyclic rate, while the rest of us are spending more and more on groceries. People are losing jobs every day. Industries are drying up, but don't worry. Our president is doing well, he and his family. So that's the story here. But again, it just irks me that if we're going to be fair, then like I said, let's just be fair. Because just like this judge said, this is censorship and this is sanitation, which again, history, when we don't learn from history, it repeats itself. Folks just did this in Germany, in other countries. It does not work. But yet and still we have people here in this country, leading this country, that have their own agendas. And that's why they want to censor certain things. And that's why they want to sanitize certain elements of society, I'll just say. So I'll go ahead and put this link to the article in the description of this video. My name is Robin. I'm your retired Marine Corps First Sergeant. And again, these are my personal opinions, and two things can be true at once. I can have thoroughly loved and enjoyed serving this country as a Marine for 20 plus years. And I can also agree that it is some racist individuals in this country, and they're holding this country back from actually being what it could be. Hey, but hopefully I will see you in the next video.
For 7 years, this exhibit about African-American history has been in the works here in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. So why is it still not open?
All new exhibits were required to be reviewed at a much higher level to check and see if they were matching with the current administration's ideology. And so that just brought it to a screeching halt.
Elizabeth Kerwin says she felt pressure to take an early retirement during the Doge cuts, and she has little hope the Trump administration will ever finish this exhibit.
I think people should know about all history, and it comes from all different types of people: Black people, white people, Asian people. Should be very inclusive.
The Trump administration has removed dozens of exhibits from national parks and other federal sites on topics like civil rights and slavery, claiming those exhibits disparage Americans past and present. Recently, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to put all of those exhibits back up by July 4th, saying otherwise this would set a dangerous precedent of censorship. And the federal government has filed an appeal saying it does not have enough time to do that by July 4th, that the national park employees are very busy with the high summer season and also America 250. The federal government also says a lot of those exhibits had already been thrown away, and so they will now have to spend money to remake those exhibits.
Yes, y'all, that's true. I had read that that a lot of the stuff that got taken down got destroyed. So they want the white man is the savior of America taught, and any other group, they want to erase you. Donald Trump definitely don't want our achievements on display, because remember, they spent a lifetime saying we're dumb, we're stupid, we're thugs, and so when we turn out to be great inventors and we are great at things that were done during slavery, and our people are still inventing to this very day. No, he doesn't want a black man to outshine the white men, which is real easy to do, by the way. So now you're ripping things out of the museum and then destroying it. Well, even doing that act, you still didn't get rid of the history of slavery. It's still there. It doesn't matter if you destroy the whole museum, the history is still there. It is still there. And yes, Donald Trump is trying to fight this. He doesn't want to put all of this Black history back up on display. So he's fighting it. So much for Donald Trump ain't done nothing wrong to us. He ain't done nothing, really. That looks like some selective denying to me. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Now, I do have another live at 1:45 where we'll be talking about Cohen Wiley, and he is the 1-year-old that was killed in a Walmart parking lot. Well, Ben Crump, who is one of their attorneys, organized a press conference. So we're going to watch the press conference, and that will be at 1:45. So y'all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to pick up your hair products. And by the way, I got some more new shampoo that will be coming out soon. I have a Chebe oil shampoo that will be out very soon. And also a Chebe pomade will be out soon. So this stuff will probably be out in about a week. So be on the lookout, y'all, and have a wonderful afternoon. Shalom, family.